All right, I'm gonna read, let's see. No, I need I guess I need a motion to open the public hearing at this point.
I'll make a motion that the meeting be open.
All right, there's one. I need a second.
I'll
Second that motion.
There's a second. I need a roll call. Mr. Hessian,
Yes.
myself is a yes. Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes.
Here you go. I'm going to read the legal notice. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 15, that a virtual remote continuance public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, December 15th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. on the application submitted by Cresco HHH LLC, also known as Sunnyside, for a special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 40A, Section 9 and 15, and subsection 415-19C19, and also subsection 415-38.5. The subject premises is located at 1015 Hingham Street, Rockland, Massachusetts, 02370. More specifically, Rockland Assessors Map 4, Lot 11, and is located in the H1 Industrial Park Hotel Zoning District. Proposed use project involves an adult use marijuana establishment engaged in the retail sale of marijuana and marijuana products in a proposed 5,008 square foot commercial building with 22 parking spaces, all in accordance with the site plans, and will be the subject of a further site plan application to the Rockland Planning Board. Interested persons are encouraged to participate remotely as the consequence of the current public health emergency. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's webpage for additional information and details. A copy of the town of Rockland COVID control plan is available on the town of Rockland webpage at that thing, and further details and plans for this project are on file in the town clerk 781-871, whatever. We all know where to get this stuff. I'm not trying to make light of any of this. I just, what I want to do is before the meeting starts, I just, where is everybody? Do I have her? Mr. Ficarra, there you are. I want to publicly apologize for what's been going on here. This is twice now that you guys have kind of been bumped. And I just, again, there's no real excuse for it. And I just want to publicly apologize on behalf of the zoning board. This shouldn't have happened. And that's about it. I just wanted to go on record.
All good, Chairman. We're great, and always love coming back and seeing you guys anyway. Appreciate the opportunity to present anyway. It's good to be back, and we appreciate you making the time in between.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I just want to I want to just lay some ground rules real quick. We've got the new submission. Everybody on the board has gone through the submission. There's just a couple of things that we really need to look at and just ask questions on. If you do have a presentation that you'd like to do, we'd like to go through that. I would like to make this as quick as humanly possible at this point. The big thing that I've seen so far is we've got letters from basically water, sewer, highway department, police, fire. We've got everything. The only issue that's kind of outstanding that I saw was basically the access getting in, getting out, and then access onto the public road of Hingham Street directly from the site. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, we actually have a small deck for you to present where we have our traffic engineer ready to speak to that, as well as
Perfect.
we have Bracken, the civil engineer for the landlord as well. So we have a good comprehensive deck, but we'll be quick and address all your concerns up front, and we can move through this expeditiously.
And then after that, we'll just open it back up to the board. If anybody's got any questions or comments, we can just do that. We can deal with the any public comments after that, and then from there we figure out what we do. So, Mr. Ficarra, board is the computer is yours.
Perfect. Can I share my screen? I'm getting pretty good at it.
Please, sir.
All right, 1 second. Can you see that one?
Got it.
Perfect. All right. Again, Chairman Rosa, I just want to thank you and members of the board. It's been great to be with you again. And since the last time we spoke, I hope you had a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Let me start by saying in advance, thank you again for the time and the opportunity to present. In terms of programming, we're gonna try to get through this quickly. I'm going to play the role of John Stockton a little bit and dish the ball to some of our experts, starting with our zoning counsel, Phil Silverman, who's on the line, and then our landlord, civil engineer, Don Bracken, and we'll button it up with our traffic engineer, Matt Kelly from Fuss & O'Neill later in the presentation. All right.
Great. Hi, my name's Phil Silverman. I'm from the law firm of Vicente Cedarburg in Boston. I'm the zoning counsel, and I also do Massachusetts Cannabis Regulatory Council work for the company. Just quick reminder, and then I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Bracken. 5,008 square foot commercial building, 23 parking spaces. And I think you've seen the plans, but I know we've worked hard to update you for some information that you didn't have last time. And hopefully we've given you the materials that we need. And with that, I'm just going to hand it over to Mr. Bracken, the civil engineer, and let him walk you through the plans.
Somebody let Mr. Bracken know that he is muted at this point.
Well,
There we
sorry
go.
about that. Good to see you again. We'll go through these quickly. The first slide shows the site. Can move on from that. There's the existing conditions plan that you've all seen. Let's move on from that. So this is the layout plan. I'll just quickly go through the changes since last time we were here with the site plan, if you didn't pick up on it after your review. We've been through 5 sets of revisions. We've been through 3 peer reviews, both at the Planning Board and Conservation Commission. As you know, we received site plan approval and design review plan approval and order conditions from the Conservation Commission. You've also been submitted a lighting plan with this updated set. As mentioned, we've gotten approvals from DPW for sewer and water department for water connection. One other thing that came up that you didn't see on the last time is that we are proposing a new vertical granite curb as requested by the DPW, about 300 feet of it, as part of the town's road infrastructure at the request of the DPW. Other changes were some minor drainage changes that resulted from the peer reviews and the conservation reviews. We've also prepared a access and utility easement plan, and I believe that documentation has been submitted to you for review. That was a big topic during the original hearings. As you know, that's on the abutter to the south and to the west to provide access to the set of lights at the intersection from that property. The other thing we've revised up in the upper left-hand corner is the parking summary. That's been revised to reflect the proposed floor plans with the specific floor areas for retail, office, and so forth. Under these floor plans and in accordance with the zoning bylaws, the actual calculated required parking is 15 spaces. We're proposing 23, which has not changed since the first submission. If you could go to the next slides, please. That shows a lot of the detailed infrastructure and utility information that we talked about. The other big accomplishment that we've had since we saw you last time was we went through FEMA and we filed a LOMA, which letter of map amendment. If you recall the first meeting, the site was treated as if it wasn't a flood zone. But now that we have that, the site is now totally outside the flood zone, except for where the flood zone is currently shown in a few locations on the current plans. And if you could keep going through the slides. This is a slide showing the Rockland ladder fire truck being able to access through the property, and stay within the paved surfaces, getting in and off of Hingham Street. Go to the next slides, please. This is just from another angle, entering the property, parking in the fire lane in front of the building. Next slide, please. This is the lighting plan. It's kind of difficult to read, but most of the lighting will be from the building. There will be a light pole as you enter from Hingham Street on the left-hand side. All those yellow highlighted numbers represent 0-foot candles, shows the limit of the extent of the lighting that's going to hit the ground. And most of the light has at least 0.5 foot candles, I believe, average, meeting typical parking lot requirements for lighting. And next slide, please. This is the access and easement plan that we discussed. Utility plan, I'm sorry, that shows the mathematical limits going from our site to across 1001 Hingham Street. If you recall, there's also a small section to the east that's used for a drainage outlet. Next slide, please.
Yeah. I think that's for Don, and if you want, Mr. Chairman, that's a good segue into our traffic and parking plans. As I mentioned, we will accommodate for 23 parking spaces on site, and we're confident this will adequately address incoming and outgoing customer traffic. But for more analysis, I want to bring in Matthew Kelly from Fuss & O'Neill just to highlight the key elements and the key findings from his studies to make sure everybody's comfortable.
Please do, Mr. Kelly.
Sure. Thank you very much, Christian. My name, for the record, Matthew Skelly. I'm a registered civil engineer with Fuss & O'Neill, you can see what's written up on the screen here. I want to address, Chair, what you asked about just quickly about access into and out of the site. The most important thing I think to note here is that we see this as being as safe access being provided to this site. There are two options offered, right? So you have two full access driveways, and what we would really expect is that folks who are going to be trying to use the new access driveway, those are probably going to be, for the most part, your people who are headed to the east of the site when they're exiting. People who need to take a left in or out of the site, we expect will primarily use the signalized intersection that's right there at the site driveway across from Commerce Road. So we see that as being safe access, multiple options, good redundancy offered there. You can see what the peak hour trip generation is, and that multiplies out to somewhere right around 1,200 trips per day, operating at peak capacity. So, last thing to mention, this is less than half of what we would expect for the peak hour trip generation for your Dunkin' Donuts with a drive-through window. And I think you go to the next slide here. Christian, did you want to talk to the letter? Great.
Yeah, I'll just button that up, Matt. Thank you very much for that. And Mr. Chairman, given our last meeting, we discussed vetting our traffic and parking plans with Rockland PD. We did just that, and this is a copy of our latest correspondence with them, where they issued their preferred traffic options and an acknowledgement of our good faith discussions up until that point.
Remember seeing that.
Yep, we included that in the recent submission as well.
Yep.
Just wanted to highlight some of the key exterior elements of the project. I know we touched on signage last time. Just wanted to reemphasize that all signage will be appropriate and compliant with municipal codes and ordinances. No signs, printed materials, or advertising products will feature any logos or symbols or images of cannabis. And then I want to turn to the elevations. These are renderings of signage and elevations as described in our updated application. This is the frontage view or the north elevation, and our prototypical signage. They're facelit LED channel letters, similar to what we have in all of our retail locations.
Okay.
This is from the east side. And here's a detailed measurement of the signage on both the northeast side, again, also included in your application if you ever feel like referencing. To the interior plans, customers are only going to have access to designated portions of the facility, the general sales floor with the point of sale terminals, customer restrooms, and a secured entrance and exit area. And then here is the floor layout for you. This is a rendering we included last time, but just wanted to reemphasize that it's a secure entry area of large sales floor to ensure the facility can accommodate all of our customers and prevent any queuing outside. It also allows for comfortable social distancing. One question that was asked last time was our max capacity. Our max capacity is 64 people inside. Those customer counts will be controlled online by orders and queuing, as well as in person with security keeping count. Our facility operations, again, are consistent with the previous presentation, but just to name a few: no unpackaged cannabis products in the store, no consumption on the premises, no loitering, debit card compatible, and all product leaves the store in sealed packaging, just like it would at a pharmacy. And here's a description of our customer pickup protocols, which we discussed at the last meeting as well: ordering online, coming in, checking in, having everything stapled and checked out, leaving the store. Onto some key operational protocols around the property. This wasn't touched on last time, so this is good that we have this opportunity now. All waste containing cannabis products will be stored securely within our vault. That product waste will be picked up from the dispensary and returned to our licensed cultivation facility, where it'll be destroyed and in compliance with all regulations set forth by the CCC. Waste that does not contain any product will be stored in the dumpster to the rear of the building and picked up weekly by a commercial trash vendor. As far as loading, product deliveries will occur between 2 and 3 times each week in an unmarked transport van. Routes and times used for this transport are randomized. All products will be transported in secure, locked storage compartments that can't be easily removed from the vehicle itself. At least 2 agents will staff the vehicles transporting the product. 1 agent will stay in the vehicle at all times, and the other will be accompanied by staff into the facility and through the receiving area. Within 8 hours after arrival, our employees at Sunnyside will weigh the inventory and account for on video all products that were received. And finally, an armored car service will pick up any monetary instruments as needed each week. On a security, obviously crucial to our operations, again, consistent with what we presented before: 45 interior exterior cameras, 24/7 online access for regulators and law enforcement, and 24/7 security as well. And finally, a letter from Rockland PD expressing their support for our security plan. As mentioned, some of our first phone calls and correspondence when we're proposing a new development or a new operation in the municipalities with the local chiefs of police to ensure we have their buy-in. And I'm proud to say we have just that here. So with that, I'd like to conclude and take any questions you guys may have.
All right, I just want to start off real quick. And Mr. Skelly, we could probably use your help here. I want to touch on the November 7th letter from Lieutenant Zioli, and I like his idea about limiting access off of the site onto Hingham Street from the access point. It would be an exit only, taking a right, going north on Hingham Street, and the primary entrance as it's set up would be at the light going into the rear property and entering the site into the rear. Is that, again, I'd like to think that the police department has a has a good handle on this. Mr. Skelly, do you have a different opinion on that?
That's something that we've definitely discussed internally. I think that generally speaking, what we presented, allowing the left turns out of there, is something that we think could work. However, I don't know, Christian, do you is that, or anyone else from the team have a take on whether that's a condition that would be acceptable to Cresco?
Yeah, let me check in with one of our project managers and I can circle back hopefully in the next minute or so. I just want to make sure they're on the line and can speak to that. 1 second.
I feel personally, I feel that the entrance into that area, and I think it should be only an emergency access entrance. Exiting, yeah, you can exit going north, but it's just with its proximity to that intersection, I feel that any major access there is going to be an issue. And just going by the letter that I see here from Lieutenant Zioli, I feel like he feels the same thing. And that's going to be one thing that's going to be one of my sticking points, really.
Correct.
The other thing is the entrance itself and the ability to maintain 2 lanes of traffic at that entrance coming off of the light going into the rear. I did take the opportunity to take a run through the parking lot and see if it can work, because I felt like the distance between the rear of the parking spaces perpendicular to the paving edge across from them, and coupled with the fact that they're 90-degree parking spaces, and we really got to look at the 23-foot width. That's something that we require, 23-foot backup width. So I'm just wondering if, let me see where, Mr. Bracken,
Yeah.
is there anything that can you tell me what the distance from the end of the parking space to the paving of the curbing directly across from it is? Can you tell me what that distance is?
I can get back to you on that if I go offline for a minute, but I can tell you that, based on those diagrams with the turning analysis, that a ladder truck can make that sweep without interfering with those parking spaces. So,
I'm more worried about not so much the ladder truck. I think that you've proved that the ladder truck can make
Right.
it. I'm thinking more of 2-way traffic getting in and out of that for customers. I took the opportunity to drive through, and granted, I drive a Mammoth 2500 van, but I was having and there were no cars there, and I was having a difficult time navigating in there and maintaining at least an 11-foot width. You know what I mean? To make sure that to see what was going to happen, because if that's going to be the case, and again, timing wise, I don't know how many people actually park there during the day, because I just ran through there on the weekend, so nobody was there. So my biggest concern is there enough width between the back of the parking space and that edge of pavement to maintain cars coming in and going out?
I mean, I can get you that distance, but I think it would be like almost any other parking lot, that if you have 2 large vehicles that are approaching each other, someone probably will have to give and wait for one vehicle to pass, if that's a situation coming out there.
No, that's understood. My van's the biggest, so
Yeah, and I think
so.
the location, there will be a stop sign there when people are exiting, so they should be able to yield to anyone coming in, from that direction. So, from a parking lot design standpoint, I wouldn't see it as an issue. If that was right on the road intersection with that width, then I would say, we would want to take another look at it. But I myself don't think that there would be an issue at that intersection.
Is it possible? Can you pull your AutoCAD up and maybe snap that distance?
I can get that. You're gonna have to give me a few minutes.
If you could do that, and then one last thing, Mr. Picara, I thought I remember reading in here someplace that you were going to have parking attendants
Mhm.
outside parking attendants that we're gonna kind of maintain things, at least for the first 6 months or something like that. Is that correct?
That's right. We'll have a grand opening plan, but beyond that too, we can allocate security and an officer for traffic management to ensure not only the turns, but a good
Mhm.
flow in the parking lot. We do that at our Schaumburg location as well as others, so we're well versed in that. We know.
All right, so as long as there's a member of a member of the staff that's gonna be out there to kind of maintain things, that definitely helps. Once I hear the distance, then we can kind of look at that. But that was my big concern. What I'd like to do is Mr. Bracken is back. He's muted. He's smiling, so I think he's got something.
I need one more second.
Okay,
right.
what I want to do then is I want to open this up to my voting members at this point. Get their opinions. I'm going to start off with Mr. Hessian. You're the first one I see. Do you have any comments for the applicant at this point?
My comments are centered around everything that you mentioned, Rob. My concern is traffic egressing going to what I'll call towards the south. So I think that will be addressed as you're going on and further on the meeting. The other question I have for Mr. Ficarra, are you still on slide 11? And in your report on page 60, you mentioned the soft opening. Are you still amenable to that? Just so Rockland has a chance, especially on Hingham Street, to get accustomed to that additional traffic flow?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I'd actually like to tap my colleague, Carrie Smith, who's on the line, who handles all of our grand opening operations there, just to ensure some kind of comfort knowing that we'll have everything set up and ready to go from day one. Carrie, you there?
Yes, I'm here. So just reassuring that we will have everything mapped up for the grand opening plans. We've done numerous grand openings of their dispensaries, both pre-COVID and post-COVID. So we're confident in our working with the city for directional, traffic control, safety, everything that pertains to that, to make sure that everything can go smoothly. We're not bothering other businesses. So we feel confident about the steps we have in place.
Okay, so you still would be amenable to that soft opening period for a while, 3 weeks?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Tim, that's what, Rob, that's all I had.
All right, Mr. Tanzi, I see you up next. Any questions or comments for the applicant, please?
None at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tanzi. Let's see, who else was on there? 1, 2, 3. Mr. Haynes, volume up, microphone up. How you doing?
I'm there. No, I have no questions. I have the same concern as you. It's that solitary, that drive in and out.
All right.
So I'll stand by for that
I think
info.
we'll get that taken care of. Thank you, Mr. Haynes. Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Baker Jr. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, and I'm actually very much persuaded by Lieutenant Zioli's recommendation as to that right turn only on the Hingham Street. I think the satisfactory addressing of that by the applicant would go a long way too.
Sounds good.
The other question I had,
sorry.
and I'll direct this to Mr. Ficarra, although I don't know if he's can answer it. Your security plan, did that reference the once a week monetary instrument pickup?
Yep, I want to actually tap our head of security, Abe Jamal, who's on the line, just to speak to that in depth.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so typically we base it off business, but yes, it definitely is in our
I'm sorry?
It is in our security operating.
All right, so the security plan that Lieutenant Zioli reviewed and endorsed on behalf of the Rockland Police included that element?
Absolutely, it was definitely one of his questions as well.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else.
Thank you, Mr. Baker Jr. Mr. Baker's the OG, Mr. Baker. Talk to me.
I'm in agreement with all yous on the no left turn, because if you notice across the street, the businesses, the BMW dealer, the Volvo dealer, they can only enter from coming south on Hingham Street. They can enter their property, but they have to use the traffic light to get out.
Right.
At Commerce Road.
That's
They
kind
built-
of where I
They
was.
built a big road out back.
thinking.
I think we should have them change the entrance out of Hingham Street for a right turn only. And have them put a sign there, entrance at traffic light or something.
Nice. No, I like that. Mr. Galley, I see you now. Mr. Galley, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant, sir?
I actually have nothing new because everyone already expressed I was considering the signage about the right turn only. And 3 people, I think, already mentioned it, so.
All right, so it's definitely on the plate at this point. Mr. Bracken, you're back.
Yes.
Were you able to snap that distance?
It was 23 feet, just like you had said.
That's all I care about.
Okay.
That satisfies my my curiosity. So I'm going to tap back to Mr. Tanzi. In your opinion, that 23 feet of pavement, basically from the back of the parking space to the edge of pavement across, that should be wide enough for 2 lanes of traffic. Are you?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. It meets our bylaw, and that's our standard, and we've always approved it before, so I don't see any issues now.
Done. Okay, so that basically answers that. I have a couple of other people online. Mr. Rubel.
Yes, I have something here in agreement on the easement through the zoning board and planning board. Did we get that?
We saw I don't remember seeing a written agreement or a written draft agreement, but I did see the plan that they put together for the access and the utility easement. Again, they would have to have, I guess by law, they would have to have a written agreement in there someplace.
Yeah,
So,
well, I'm looking at the planning board and zoning board says that they're looking for an agreement on the easement.
Just by way of information, that actually has been signed. It's actually the same landlord as ours, so it's really an agreement between himself.
yeah.
But that's just recently been signed.
Oh, you have that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Rubel. Attorney Galvin.
I just want to make sure that we understand what hours, because the board technically has the discretion on the hours. So I wanted to maybe have Mr. Fakara just recite what hours they're looking for. And then after that, I typed out the findings and draft conditions that I'll email over, or I could display on my screen if you want, if that works for everybody.
That could definitely work. Mr. Fakara, can you talk about the hours?
Yes. So during COVID, we have 10 to 8, and then post-COVID, we had proposed 9 to 9.
Okay.
So it's 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through 7 days a week.
7 days a week, correct. And then that was consistent with our previous presentation, 10 to 8, and then we proposed post-COVID whenever that happens, obviously, and it's safe and secure for everybody, we can move to 9 to 9.
7 days a week. What about, are there any holidays or any other days you're closed?
Yep, that's right. You asked last presentation. Thanksgiving will be closed and Christmas will be closed.
Giving, Christmas.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, real
Mr.
quick.
Baker, go for it.
In the packet, they sent the hours of operation for marijuana establishments set by the zoning board Sunnyside. But respectfully request 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 12 to 7 p.m. on Sundays. Closed Thanksgiving and Christmas. They're changing their hours now.
Would you, Mr. Fakara, how do you want to handle that?
Let me just reconfirm on the Sunday, but I believe we had 10 to 8. And then just for Sunday, hold on 1 second. Let me just pull up the
12 to 7, I think, is what we sent in.
That's
12
right.
to 7 is what's
Thank
on
you.
here.
Yeah, we had 10 to 8 on the previous one, and then we made an amendment from the last meeting based on your feedback and the board.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. I appreciate that.
Thanks for the clarification. Appreciate it.
All right, so we've got that. We've got the hours of operation. We've got the holidays. Actually, Attorney Galvin,
Yes,
do you have time, do you have the ability to put those up there on your screen, or do you need a few more
I
minutes?
do. No, I'm good. I'm prepared to display them right now.
If you want to do that, we can go over the draft, some draft conditions. And obviously, I think there's going to be a couple more that we're going to add in, but at least we can look at them, see what we've got, and kind of go from there.
Okay, let me just do share screen. Yes. People can let me know if they can see them. Can you see those now?
I got that.
Yep.
How's that? Does that look good? All right, so as I explained to the board, the findings are the three things that you have to make express findings on by a vote. And then as we've been talking and based on the language of the bylaw, I have some draft conditions. There would be a couple of others, like for example, the decision has to be filed with the registry of deeds, things like that. But these are the kind of the special ones that we have from retail sale of adult use marijuana, which I understand is the only proposed use. So the findings are the establishment is designed to minimize any adverse impacts on abutters and other parties of interest. That's the first one. The establishment demonstrates it'll meet all permitting requirements of all applicable agencies and will comply with all applicable state and local laws and regulations. 3, the applicant has satisfied all the conditions, findings, and requirements set forth therein. So those are the 3 things you have to vote on. Conditions, premises shall be used, it should say used, for the retail sale of adult use marijuana and related products, and all sales shall occur within the proposed secure building. The hours establishment should be the approved marijuana establishment shall be 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday during COVID, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays, Thanksgiving and Christmas closed. No smoking, burning, consumption of any marijuana product on the premises. There should be no drive-through service. No signage shall be permitted that contains the designs. That's what Mr. Ficarra said. No outside display of storage of marijuana-related supplies or promotional materials are allowed. All marijuana waste, shall be kept securely and disposed securely inside the premises, I guess. I tried to write this down quickly as it was being explained.
I love this real-time editing. This is awesome.
Mr. Galvin, if sorry to interrupt, on condition number 1, it only mentions adult use, but we are actually also asking for medical use to be a registered marijuana dispensary here as well.
Did you apply for both permits? I pardon, I don't have the application.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. For the medical use, so I'll add medical.
Great.
And retail sale. Is there an interior partition, Phil?
I believe there is, just to create a separator, you mean, between the medical and the adult use?
Yep.
Christian?
And the, I should say that, and the businesses shall be segregated inside the building then, right?
The only requirement is there be a divider between the medical and adult use. And if it's not clearly shown, you can certainly make that clear in the condition.
I'll just say, and shall be divided internally.
That's fine.
That works.
That's right. And
Okay.
there'll be separate lines too there, Bob.
Yep. I think that works the way you've put it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Direct my question, Mr. Silverman. Looking at your application, where is the medical use referenced?
That's what I'm looking for myself.
Sure. If you look on the application itself, there's two separate forms. The first one is for adult use and the second one is for medical use.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, thank you.
We didn't address deliveries. Can I ask the applicant to explain what its thoughts are on deliveries? Because we would ordinarily restrict deliveries.
Do you mean delivery to consumers?
Correct.
So maybe I can help with this. You're probably aware.
I know it requires a separate license. So
yes, and it requires a separate license by a type of entity that this particular entity is not right now, at least for 3 years. You have to be an equity applicant in order to have it. So while I'm sure at some point it may well be that this company would like to have its products delivered, it can't do it itself for the time being.
So why don't I say there should be no drive-through service and no delivery service unless otherwise approved by the board after approval by the state?
Except for in compliance with state law, because I don't want it to mean, I think right now deliveries are legal. It's just that this company can't do it. I don't want the impression, unless you're in disagreement, that the company can't have its product delivered, because I think it can right now. It's just it can't do it itself.
A state, I forgot what they call this marijuana.
Yeah, a state regulated marijuana delivery licensee. That's great.
Licensed delivery service. Okay. No signage will be permitted, no outside displays. All marijuana waste purely inside the premises and disposed of on a regular basis. No non-marijuana related waste shall be kept in a dumpster that is fenced and disposed of on a regular basis. The applicant shall obtain site plan approval from the Rockland Planning Board and unless otherwise directed by the building commissioner. At a minimum, said site plan shall meet all dimensional parking, landscaping, and signage requirements. The applicant shall complete the improvements shown on the proposed site plan, and they didn't have the last date of the plan prior to the commencement of the use. The exit number 10 is the I guess that's the northerly exit. That's up to the board to decide. I don't remember which exit that is. Unsignalized, the unsignalized
That would be
exit.
the north, Bob,
Okay,
north entrance.
north at Weymouth Street or Hingham
Hingham.
Street. Yeah. You have to decide whether to include that condition. I haven't heard the board decide that, but I'll highlight that. The applicant shall obtain approval from the Rockland Police Department for a traffic plan associated with the grand opening period and provide details as deemed necessary thereafter at their cost and expense. The applicant shall provide the Rockland Police Department with the names, telephone numbers, email addresses of all management staff and keyhole to whom one can provide notice if there are operating problems associated with the establishment and update that list whenever there is any change in management or management staff or key holders. The proposed marijuana retail should be properly, I guess they should, the proposed registered dispensary. And marijuana shall be properly licensed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, maintain compliance with state licensure requirements during its operations, and shall operate in compliance with all state laws and regulations. including without limit 950 CMR 500 et sec, which are incorporated herein by reference. The special permit granted herein shall have a term limited to the duration of the applicant's ownership of the marijuana dispensary and establishment. The special permit may only be transferred by approval of the zoning board after a public hearing and supported by all updated information required herein. The special permit shall lapse if not exercised within 1 year of issuance.
Is it possible to add some language there that says unless for good cause shown? I always get concerned with my good friends up at the Cannabis Control Commission, who at times may not always give the speediest of responses in applications. And I think they'll get this done with a couple months to spare, but it could be close.
Why don't I say, or unless otherwise extended by the board.
Great, thank you.
If you run into a problem with the state, Phil, you can come back and ask the board to extend that period of time before it expires.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. Yep.
The applicant shall be required to remove all materials, plants, equipment, other paraphernalia within 3 months of ceasing operations as a marijuana retailer, I guess, or dispensary. And the use shall be conditioned on the grant of an access and utility easement to the applicant, which will be provided to the board. Those are the ones that I had chiefly. I'm sure that there was some others, but I think the board should kind of first, Mr. Rosa, decide what you want to do with this, with the exit at the north.
Yep.
And then I'm going to need the updated plan date, which I'll also highlight.
Mr.
And
Bracken,
then-
I know
then you go-
I think Mr. Bracken knows the plan date off the top of his head. Still on mute, sir.
November 23rd, 2020. Also, before you get to number 10, I believe the owner, Jim Rader, would like you to consider allowing a left-hand turn out, given the fact that there are two signalized intersections in between the driveway.
We'll give it consideration.
Thank you.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up before it got dismissed. I got some communication from I guess it's the building manager at 1099 Hingham Street. He was concerned with, and just looking at the plan, he was concerned with the potential of clientele parking on their property and crossing over the property line to get to the building at 1015. I think Mr. Ficara and I think we went back and forth, and I think he was looking to see if a fence could be installed along that property line to kind of hinder that. Is that possible?
Yes, I think that was mentioned to me by Mr. Rader, and he would be willing to put a fence in that location.
All right, so we can throw that in as one of the conditions. Only because it's not shown on the site plan side. If we can throw that in as one of the conditions, that would be good.
Which boundary line?
I got to get to the plan here.
The eastern property line. If you could say along the limits of the parking area, or at least to some point.
1015 and 1099.
Maybe a fence, from the street line, approximately halfway down the side of the building, something like that.
Yeah, so it's the east. It would be the easterly boundary line from Hingham Street. Yeah, it would be the easterly boundary line from Hingham Street
Yeah,
to just before, and as you said, just before the back of the building, because you're starting to get into the 100-foot buffer at that point. And I think topography would kind of stop you from going any further.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So that, it looks like, looking at the dimensions on the plan, it would be about 75 feet.
Board members, do you have any problems with that?
No,
So Attorney Galvin, can we add that in there?
Doing it as we speak.
Nice. I love this real-time editing. This is awesome. All right, so we got that. It's going to take some time to talk about this, and I want to talk about this once we close the meeting when it comes to the entrances. Other than that, if nobody else has really anything else to discuss, I'd like to open it up to
Hey,
any.
Rob, can I maybe mention something?
Please.
If you put the right-hand turn condition in, perhaps you would entertain the possibility of reviewing it after a period of time to see whether it remains necessary. You know?
Board members?
Just a question, if presumably it's working and everyone's making a right-hand turn, how would that give you a sample to determine whether it's necessary or not?
It basically, we'd have to allow left and right-hand turns from that, and we're not calling it an entrance, we're calling it an exit, because I don't want people coming in that way.
Right.
That's my big thing. So we'd call it an exit, and it would be, it would be a left and right exit, a north and south exit.
And then see if that's causing problems and then readdress it?
And then readdress it in a year. I look at the only issue that the reason why I'm kind of going the other way on that is we're already having problems with Wendy's. And, we kind of gave them some latitude. They've just opened and we're already having problems.
Mr. Chair?
Who is this?
That's Matthew Skelly. I wanted to weigh in just one
Mr.
other.
Skelly, please do, sir.
One other minor detail on here. One thing, one other reason that we don't usually like to propose that restriction is because it's very difficult to actually control people's behavior on that front. On a 4-lane road, there's just no way to geometrically restrict it in such a way that people can't, still make the left turn. So, we generally, we like to say that, if everyone has the expectation that it is allowed, that makes it a little bit safer than when drivers think that people exiting the site aren't going to do it. But, we all know full well that they may anyway. So I don't know, it is a gray area. Yeah.
If we put up a sign, and say,
that's something, but it is hard to control. That's all I'll add there.
I understand. I just remain persuaded by Lieutenant Zioli's recommendation.
And Mr. Baker, I also.
Can I say something?
Who is this?
Stephen Galley.
Mr. Galley, what's going on?
Really quick on that right turn only thing. First of all, there'll be some sort of attendant in the parking lot for the first 6 months or so. They'll be able to remind you, remember, right turn only out.
Mm-hmm.
It'll become a habit, and the world will hate you if you take a left turn out of that place.
Not to mention the fact that the intersection is
It's a nightmare.
250 feet up, 300 feet up, whatever the frontage is.
Yeah.
You're not gaining anything by taking a left out of there.
Right.
That's my point. If somebody wants to take a left out of there and go towards Rockland Center, or go up Commerce or Reservoir Park or whatever it is, the smart person is going to use the intersection because it's signalized. Again, you can't predict what all these people are going to do, but if enough signage is provided that says you can't take a left, people aren't going to take a left. Plus, if there's going to be a parking attendant out there, they can kind of say, just can't, if they see the blinker go on, can't go that way. It's not really feasible. And I just don't see it. I don't see it being a safe. I don't see it being a safe way to do it.
Chairman,
again,
sorry to interrupt. We'd be happy to provide that signage too, as well as make a special alert to our traffic officers there to make sure everything's in line.
I think that answers the question. I think that answers the question. So let's put in one of the conditions. If the board, if all the board members feel good about this, that it is the access point, the direct access point to the site on Hingham Street is an exit only, and it's a right turn only. Does anybody on the board have any issues with that?
Not me.
Hearing none. Mr. Attorney Galvin, do we have something on there that we can, there you go.
Mr. Chairman,
Who is this?
it's Jim Rader.
Mr. Rader, I don't see you on here. Where are you?
He's on the phone.
Well,
Oh, participant 2. How you doing, sir?
good, thank you. So how are people going to enter into this facility under this condition in your proposal?
At the intersection, sir.
Through the traffic signal?
Through the traffic signal, they're going to enter onto what again is your property, come through the back entrance, and it's just going to be a safe. It's going to be a safe.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that is you're routing traffic with Sunshine having a sign on the building to an intersection that people aren't going to be familiar how to get to the building. I mean, when we originally proposed a retail use at this building, this condition was not raised. The concern was not raised. I'm not saying that that's significant, other than we're right now, today, we have a permit to build this building without restricting the ingress egress. And my concern is you're trying to direct people to a building that there's a pylon sign at the street that is going to make people want to turn into the parking lot there.
But you can also sir, you can also put another sign or an additional sign on the pylon sign that says entrance at intersection or something like that.
All I can say is never our intent to have the traffic for this building coming through the office building parking lot. It was only as a second means of egress if people want to come out of the facility to use the traffic light, but that's after they've already entered off of Hingham Street. So I can tell you that the other owners of the office building would not be happy with all of this traffic coming in for another building at their curb opening.
So you'd like to go against what the Rockland Police Department is in favor of. Is that what you're saying?
I thought the Rockland Police Department was concerned about a right turn only out of the parking lot, but allow traffic to come into that curb cut.
No.
That's how I read it too, Mr. Chair. I
read it that way.
I understand that you were looking to restrict entrance. It's from an operational standpoint, I think there is something to be said for being allowed to enter there. And I think people are going to get very confused if the only place they're allowed to enter is at that intersection. I understood that what the police officer was saying is there's one of two options. Either you have for exiting, right turn only, or an easement out the side. We certainly want the easement, and if we have to, we would allow, we would be agreeable to a right turn only sign, but we really want people to be able to enter in through that same entryway.
And Mr. Chair, if I may too, my colleague Kamal has looked at this extensively, and he might have some opinion on this. Are you online?
Yeah, so Mr. Rosa, thank you again. When speaking to Lieutenant Zioli, yes, his concern was when people are actually egressing out, is to make it right. There was no issue with actually the actual ingress. So, like my colleague said, we can definitely control the egress, making sure that people are going towards the right. But as far as the ingress, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. If anything, we'd be bottlenecking up.
All right, no, I appreciate what everybody's saying. I thoroughly disagree, but I don't run the board. While I'm the chairman, I am not the board. If the board wants to allow it that way, then I have no problem with it. I will not be in favor of that, but this is a board decision, not my decision.
Rob, can I say something? It's Bob Galvin.
Please do.
I'm looking at Google Earths on my other computer screen, and it looks like there's a double line, yellow line. And this is a question for Fuss and O'Neill. There's a double yellow line in the westbound lane on Hingham Street. So it would actually potentially be an illegal move to cross the double line to get in. And I tend to agree with them that I think you should be able to get in off of Hingham Street at this entrance. I understand the right turn out only because that's a tough move across 4 lanes of traffic. But I do note that the pavement is marked with a double line, so anybody that was in that left-hand turn isn't supposed to be making a left-hand turn into the site.
The convention on Hingham Street appears to be that that double yellow line does not get broken just for driveways. You'll see up and down the street that appear, the double yellow center line remains even when left turns into driveways are permitted. And for what it's worth, that I would echo the other folks who said that the police letter does seem to only refer to restricting left turns out. He's silent on left turns in. He does not say that raises the problem.
And I agree. I'm looking at it right now myself. I agree. I am in the opinion that turning left onto Hingham Street is a challenging maneuver, but that's turning left from the site. So, no, I fully agree. I absolutely fully agree. But I'm still under the opinion that entrance should be used for exit only or emergency entrances. That's my opinion. If the other board members disagree with me and want to vote the other way, I understand. I absolutely understand. But I look at it a different way.
Mr. Chair, is there some possibility what was floated before that we could have a trial period? 6 months to a year to try to see how that works?
Again, Mr. Silverman, I have no problem with that. But again, this is a decision that the board has to make. I can't make this decision myself. I have a very strong opinion on this because I travel Hingham Street every day. Sometimes 6 and 7 times am I going by this place. So if anything, I'll be the litmus test. I'll be the one that's going to be able to tell you if this is going to work or not, because I go by this and I stop at that stupid Dunkin' Donuts at least 4 times a day. So I'm literally on this road all the time.
Understood.
I know what the traffic patterns are. Personally, I know what the traffic patterns are. And I know that it's going to be a very, very difficult situation trying to get in and out. Across the street is not so bad because there's not a lot of traffic going into the dealership these days. But I know what's going to happen here. All right. I know what's going to happen here based on other marijuana dispensaries that are open in the area, plus the one that is open right up the street from you. I know that I personally know the traffic patterns. I feel very strongly about this, but again, this is my opinion and my opinion only. If the board feels different about it, I'd like to poll the board and get their opinions about it. If they want to disagree with me, it is what it is, and I'm not gonna be mad at anybody for this. But I have my own personal feelings about it. Attorney Galvin, am I able to poll the board at this point?
You can pull the board, but I wanted to remind you that the shingle mill time starts at 7:30 and it's 7:30 now.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
so,
And we have meetings that go over all the time. I can't stop this. The
I just
only
want
thing
to,
that
I want Rockland TV to be able to, put something up there if they can.
right.
Indicates that we'll be into that meeting shortly.
Lisa, I think Lisa's she's on here.
I am here, but we are not live on TV right now, so there's no way to get the word out. And there's no way for me to, in the same account, have two meetings open at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's why I need a couple of minutes between closing this one and opening the next.
Understood. I think it's going to be a sticking point. It's going to be something that we're going to have to discuss. I want to ask the board, do you guys at this point have enough information to be able to make the 3 determinations in the beginning we have to when it comes to granting special permit? And do you have enough information to be able to come up with some additional conditions if necessary? Board members.
I just have a question, just to try to clarify the hours. Mr. Ficarra had mentioned 10 to 8 during COVID, and I'm not quite sure what is meant by during COVID.
I think what it should say, it's clearer, it should be clearer during the governor's state of public health emergency, which I think is what's intended.
That's right.
I would prefer that language, Mr. Gelman.
We'll mandate, we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Until those are safely relinquished and lifted, we'll abide by those.
Does anybody else have any other questions or concerns? And do you feel that we have enough information to be able to, again, to determine if the 3 criteria in the beginning are matched?
If I may,
Mr. Hessian.
I would almost entertain a continuance till we solve this entrance and exit thing.
That's it. This is up to us at this point. It's a condition that it's a condition that we as the board would make at this point. I know they want a specific thing, but if the board wants to change, if the board wants something different, that's up to us.
Mr. Rosa, can I make another suggestion then? Why don't we,
Alvin, please do.
Why don't we close the public portion of the meeting? Get over to the shingle mill project, and we can provide the login information on the shingle mill to these applicants, and we'll provide it right now to anybody that's listening to this meeting. And then after we're done with shingle mill tonight, because I don't think we're going to be all night, we'll then deliberate on this.
I like that idea. I have the shingle mill login information. I can provide that to everybody right now if they want to hear it and they want to write it down.
Let's give them the shingle mill login, because that's where we're going to be public afterwards. So the meeting ID for everybody that can do this is on Zoom. It's 811-7621-3299 with a passcode of 052400. And as soon as we're done with the shingle mill public presentation tonight, we'll deliberate on that. But you'd have to move with a roll call vote to close the public portion of this meeting, because I don't think there's any more information.
No, I don't think there's any more information in it either. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Close the public portion of the hearing.
Close the public portion of the hearing. Mr. Baker Jr.
So moved.
And we've got do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second that.
All right, I gotta say, I got many seconds. Need a roll call. Going to start with Mr. Hessian.
Yes.
Myself is yes. Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
All right, that's 5 votes. All right, so we're close.
Point of clarification. So what does that mean for us? Do you need us to come back at any point?
If you would like to listen in on the deliberations, log into that meeting number that I gave you. And if you want, I'll even be willing to, if Phil Silverman could text me his number, I'll text somebody and tell you when we start, so you don't have to sit there and waste your entire evening.
All right, I'll quote the rest of everything that I have here. The board will deliberate tonight. You're welcome to stay. You will receive a decision in the mail with a date stamp 21 days from the date stamp on the decision, you go to the town clerk's office, request a certificate of no appeal, and if no one's appealed, the town clerk will give you a certification and a copy of the original decision. Take those to the registry of deeds and have them recorded. One of the conditions is always to show the building department proof of recording. So that really, that covers us at this point. Again, we will deliberate tonight and you'll get an answer tonight.
We won't have input there. We'll just be there to listen to your deliberation.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Correct.
to deal, we have to deal with the next applicant. I can't say how long it's going to be, but it's not gonna be quick. I can tell you that. I don't think your entire team has to be there, but it would probably be good if at least one person, I would suggest yourself and maybe Mr. Silverman kind of, stay active if you want to stay on the meeting. And Attorney Galvin, I think you said that if you wanted to, if they provided some cell phone numbers, you could text them and let them know.
I'm gonna email Phil now, and then he'll have my cell number, and can email me back.
What is it you're asking me to email you back?
Your cell
Basically,
number, so I can text you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that way you don't have to sit on the meeting, because I don't want you just sitting there for an hour. I mean,
Appreciate it. But,
I'm trying to look out for you guys.
I really appreciate that. Do I understand that what you're suggesting is we would log on to that other meeting ID number? Is that it?
Yeah, you're gonna
Correct.
have to. And that's really the only way we can do this.
Okay.
And at least that way you can be a part, you can be at least you can be present for the final decision making on your application.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Mr. Ficarra, are you actually Attorney Galvin, are you going to be able to coordinate with Mr. Ficarra too?
Well, why don't I text Phil and Jim Boland, and let me just see who else. Let me see. Steve Ficarra. I don't know if I have his.
We're all looped in, so if you get a hold of Phil or Jim, I'll be sure to be in touch with you.
As long
I just
as
sent my cell phone number now, and if Phil emails me back, I'll make sure that you get like a 10-minute notice. All right?
Great.
Right.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you all. I'll see everybody else at the next meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Well, who gave me the first?
I did.
Well,
Rob.
I can't do that.
Senior.
All right, Bob Baker Senior, and then I got a second from Mr. Hessian. Roll call, Mr. Hessian.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.,
Yes.
and Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
All right, we got 5. We're out of here. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.